Good morning to you today. A happy Tuesday, October number, where are we? October 7th today. I hope you're having a great morning. I hope you're feeling well. And it's my pleasure again to share with you a parent shared start here at Almond Acres Charter Academy. Again, I'll share the calendar with you and what the kids are seeing at Shared Start this morning, what the habit of the week is, and then chat a little bit more about the habit of the week and how we implement the habit at home and at school. So we can have that synergy of relationship between the home and the school, which then means our kids are hearing this message in a real way, in the real life of school and the real life of home, and how it gets used as a thinking process, as a habit of mind, both at home and school, which then incorporates it into their life better. So thanks for joining, watching today. If you are able or willing and interested to, please put a comment or a question so that I can address the needs of families regarding specific things about the school. So let me jump into our slide deck here and share with you what the kids are going to see this morning. So number one, they'll look at the calendar as usual, and the only unique thing to the calendar this week is the Pioneer Day Parade Saturday morning. So this is a tradition in Paso Robles, going back probably 75 to 100 years. Look back at some old pictures of Pioneer Day Parade, and it's just such a fun event, and it's so well attended by the people of the North County, and most especially all of the organizations that put floats in the parade to represent all of the variety of opportunity, the variety of clubs, organizations, service organizations that are throughout our city. So if you can join us for the parade, you can jump on the float or walk next to the float with the kids on the float, and it's fun. It's just a good time. All right, and then next Monday, just a reminder, is a staff development day, so kids do not have school on October 13th. And then the final one on there is the 22nd, which is our next board meeting. As you know, we have our new executive director, Dr. Joe Ledoux. He came on board last week on the 1st, and he's rocking and rolling. Really impressed and happy that he's here. So he'll be directing the board meeting on the 22nd. In specifics about each of those things, the parade, the staff development day, and or the board meeting, you can find on Parent Square. So in terms of the Pioneer Day Parade especially, it's an all-morning event. It's followed by food in the park and just gathering with people. So check out the Parent Square announcement to get the details. All right, moving on. Another thing going on tomorrow is the walk roll to school. So join us for a walk or roll to school. So walkers will receive a snack and free giveaways. So that happens tomorrow, Wednesday the 8th. And so the kids are promoting that. It's being promoted at Shared Start. You might hear about it at home. The other piece that's going on at Shared Start today is we're looking each week at these 4 different areas of our lives: heart, mind, body, and soul. And obviously, our school philosophy is based on the whole child, the whole person. And if we're talking about the whole person, we're talking about all of the different ways that we're smart, all of the different ways that we think. So looking at each of these and using this kind of language at home and at school will help the message, get into our kids' understanding faster and better and stronger. And for us to be able to use it as a tool, as a way to speak to our kids that's dignified and respectful. So the human person is heart, mind, body, and soul. So understanding what we mean by body, obviously it's the physical aspect of who we are. It's the in our kite, or in our color scheme, it's the red. It's the red color of the kite. And the question that our body tends to ask, or our body mind, if you will, of our body thinking, is where and how. So when we talk about blue and we talk about heart, it's who. We talk about mind, it's what and when. We talk about body, it's where and how. And when we talk about the green soul, it's why. So the body questions are where and how. And the body intelligences, the academic terms for those, are visual, spatial, and kinesthetic. Again, related to physical movement. How do we manipulate life physically and visually, spatially? So those two intelligences of the 8 are specific to our physical being, our body. Hope that makes some sense. It might make a little more sense here in a moment when I share another slide about that. There it is right there, our kite. So those 4 areas, if you're still getting familiar with this and comfortable, the heart are those 2 intelligences, the interpersonal and naturalist, people skills and plant and animal skills. And the key question is who? For the mind, linguistic and logic mathematical. And the key questions are what and when. That's our school stuff. And let me just share this. For all too often, and this is part of the reason why we developed a school that would celebrate all 4 areas, because traditional school has put 90% of its effort into mind, linguistic and logical mathematical. Now, obviously, absolutely necessary, but it's not the whole person. If we don't dignify and honor and respect the other parts of our lives, we're missing pieces. We're not completing the puzzle. And even worse, if we're not celebrated for our intelligence in these other areas, it squelches our enthusiasm to become the person we are, to become a person who is interpersonal maybe, or visual, spatial, or musical. So we squelch, when we highlight one, we squelch the others, and we create reluctant learners because they don't think they're smart. And I know this for a fact because I was this person. I was a very heartfelt why guy. I was blue and green, if you will, on the colors, and I wanted to know why, and I wanted to relate to people. When it came to the what and the when of things, I didn't care so much because I cared more about those other things. Now, they're all important, but we have to appreciate and dignify and respect the ones that are most natural to our personality. And there's the body, kinesthetic, visual, spatial, and where and how, and finally the soul, intrapersonal and musical. So the intra is I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking about my thinking. I'm contemplating my own existence, my purpose in life. And the inter is I'm thinking about relationship with other people. So the inter and the intra are not opposing. They're just different aspects of us. So looking at that whole thing. Now, when we deal with any decisions or problems in life, when we're dealing with life, to stop and consider all 4 areas makes us smarter. It makes us more tuned in to the reality of a situation, because we can get so stuck in our corners so quickly. We can, fight for what we believe is true and what our intelligence is telling us. Well, aren't the other intelligences also important? And maybe not equally at times, but also important. And when we consider all perspectives, we're going to make better decisions, and we're going to solve problems in a much healthier, much more productive way. So taking a time out, pausing yourself, and considering, well, let's see, my child is really red. So this is a very, physical situation. How might I use that as a benefit? Use that to help that child think. So we go to their corner and we help them out of it if they're stuck in it by accompanying them within their corner. I hope that makes sense. That's all. The way to look at this is we each fly our kite a certain way. Well, if we're going to help somebody, if we're going to grow our child to be the best version of themselves, then we've got to grow them in the way that they're supposed to grow, the way that they are innately and intrinsically designed. This is how they think. Our personalities can be understood and recognized at a very early age. I see it in my 1-year-old grandson, or even my granddaughter's 8 months old. So my 2-year-old grandson, I can see their personalities already. It's so clear to me that, there's certain things that they just, they don't tune into. And there are other things they absolutely tune into. Well, that points to their kite. It points to the way that they fly. All right, that's a lot on the kite there, but I think the more we talk about it, the more we will understand it. So let me move forward. All right, the habit of the week is putting first things first. And if I'm not mistaken, we talked about this last week. And I talked about knowing our yeses gives us the power, the comfort, the freedom to say no. So in other words, when we say no to something, what we're really saying is yes to something that's more important. And now the kids are hearing this message today as simply put, work before you play. Well, I don't know if I totally agree with that, but that's the message that most kids need to hear because they want to play before they work. But I think in general, especially as you're a more mature adult, sometimes we do need to go play before we work. We need that exercise. We need that fun in order to be that better version of ourselves. So be careful with, how we look at that. But putting first things first is one of, the top 3 habits. It's number 3 in the list. And it's a habit that makes life easier because you know what's good and true and beautiful for you and your family. You've decided or determined that these are the values that you're going to fight for in your family, and you're going to put those first. You're not going to let the world determine your life because somebody else said so. Case in point, one of my biggest frustrations was having 7 kids. At one time we had 5 soccer teams going at the same time. So both Susie and I would coach a team, and we'd try to manipulate our practice time in our fields so that we were together. It just made it easier for our family. But I was always irritated when a coach would say, well, you have to be there. Well, what does that mean? We have a practice on a Sunday and I have to be there? I have to sacrifice something that's important to me on Sunday to be at a soccer practice? You're telling me that soccer is more important than maybe my spiritual life, my faith expression? No. We have to be able to say no to the things that are less important than the things that are most important. That's putting first things first. That's saying yes to something that's more important and no to things that aren't. But we have to know what they are. We have to know what our yeses are. So here's a little exercise to consider with your family. If you look at this image, this understanding, this framework of personality and temperament and the whole human person, what are your yeses when it comes to heart? What are your yeses when it comes to interpersonal relationship and naturalist? I know for some families, they are ranchers or rodeo families, and their yes is their animals and taking care of them and taking care of a ranch, taking care of a farm. That's a huge yes. So they sacrifice a lot of things because they have this more important yes. So again, if we look at each of these 4 areas and we ask ourselves, what are my yeses? Heart, mind, body, and soul. And I identify what those are. It's going to make it so much easier when it comes time to making a decision and somebody says, well, I'd like to do this. Well, that's great and that's beautiful and it's important to you maybe, but I have something that's more important in my schedule or in my day or in my life that takes priority, and to not let the world steal away our priorities. So determining that as a family will make life so much easier because there are so many things going on. We just feel all too often every minute of the day, and then we regret. We wish we would have, could have, should have, and we didn't do something else that was important to us. So it's a beautiful intrapersonal thinking skill to walk through this for yourself and your family and help to develop it. It actually can turn into a family mission statement. All right, hearing noise out there, that means shared start is finished. So I'm going to finish off here. Just one more reminder on how we might put first things first. Heart, mind, body, and soul. This is on our Instagram page. Thank you to Melanie for designing these things for us. And then next week, just a reminder, next week I'm going to sit with our new Dr. Joe Ledoux and have him share his story and his journey to Almond Acres and what his vision is for the school. So you're welcome to chime in and have questions. Ask him some questions, and he'll share who he is. So hope to see you next week. Take care.